Well, hey everyone, time for Geocache Talk. Whether you're at work, in the car, wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please give it a like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, Radio Public, and now Spotify. You get to all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for the music and being our guest a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And our featured patrons, FS Sabero, Geo Rick, Cash Addict Mel, Geocaching Janji, Sir Drumalot. Happy birthday, Sir Drumalot, a couple days ago. Janice, Tricasius, Tom Frey and Heltonen, Rugels, and EGK PBR. And then our new patrons, Little Black Cat. And congratulations to Little Black Cat and Carrot Killer. They just finished the Texas County Challenge. So,
wow, that is impressive.
Congratulations to you too, and I will get to see you in a couple weeks in Seguin for the finishers event, and we get to celebrate with you guys and hear the stories. RAR 285, Chihuahua Hill. when Chihuahua Hill became a patron, I looked at it and I was like, how do you pronounce that? And she sent me a note back, like with a real puzzled, like the dog. I was like, oh, Chihuahua. Oh, because you don't, I mean, how often do you see it written out? You know, you kind of in your head, you hear it, but so Chihuahua Jill, Cam Majestic 2011, R&M Cachers just came on. Really excited to have them on. Roger was our featured geocaching with different abilities. So looking forward to seeing him at Geo Woodstock and the GPS maze. And I did some investigating for Roger, being a person who uses a wheelchair, and it is wheelchair accessible, the GPS maze. So I was excited to.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I'll let him know that. Plus, it's anonymous, and I just want to make a quick note for people listening that this is really our second anonymous donor to the show, and Jesse and I are very grateful to all of our patrons. And if you want to be anonymous, by all means, be anonymous.
Well, and everybody has a different job and everybody has a different position in life. And I completely understand that. I spent 20 years in law enforcement, and a lot of my buddies are military, and many people wanted to keep, just for their privacy, wanted to keep anything close to their name out of the public air. So we completely understand that. And, hopefully we do have law enforcement and military and people in sensitive jobs listen to this show, and we will absolutely keep that anonymous. We will not betray that confidence for any means.
Right. So absolutely. Yeah. There's no issue whatsoever for that. All right. So if you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk for more details. Patrons get the new blackout coin. Dun, 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 dun,
I don't have mine tonight because it's still on my Jeep because I was out caching today.
There you go. So I'm showing the blackout coin for the audio listeners. So we got
Love
a bunch
that coin.
of those. So I know it's awesome. It's a good choice.
It's been showing up a lot on Instagram lately too, and I love that every time it does.
Yep.
I always try to push that and pin it to the story,
right?
So, other people's or whatever, so that their name still shows up on there. But I love it. I'm looking through there, and then all of a sudden you see our blackout coin just show up randomly on Instagram. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Other geocaching items during the year, as well as bonus content. We'll talk about the geocaching items in the near future. We got some exciting stuff going on with that, as well as bonus content, invites to special events. We're going to have a special event around Geo Woodstock. We actually have a couple we're going to be involved with, and one especially for listeners of the show and patrons and everybody. So we'll talk about that when it gets closer to the time. Support levels start at as little as $3 a month, and goes up from there to the special golden ammo can level, which is $10. You get a lot of cool swag on that level. So let me welcome my co-host Jesse.
Good evening, and I'm excited for this one. We don't have any guests tonight because we wouldn't have time for them. So
we wouldn't have time.
And I'm going to try to keep it in the reins of our normal family-friendly show because I have some strong opinions on some of these.
Yeah, we both do, and so we're looking forward to it. This is show 135 for February 10th, as we have our first, what I assume will not be our last, Battle Royale cache fight. The Nano versus the ammo can. So looking forward to this.
Should be good. I don't even know where it's going to go yet because we didn't discuss this ahead of time. So we'll see.
No, we didn't. We've got some general notes. They're not as specific as some weeks. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. So chat room, definitely they can chime in.
They already have been. There's good opinions in there already. So
they're already firing away. That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So all right. So let's get into this. So in case people are wondering, we'll get some of the basics out of the way. In one corner is the ammo can. Jesse, you've got an actual ammo can right there, don't you, buddy?
Let's see. Here's one.
There it is. The ammo
can. About the typical. For this purpose, I think we're talking about the metal ammo can.
Yeah.
There's a few other versions of that, but we're gonna stick plastic to the typical, regular sized metal ammo can, the military grade ammo can.
Yep. And then for the Nano, we've got a couple different versions of the Nano. I've got here with me, I've got the silver version.
I think those are called blinkies, right? In some areas.
In South Dakota and North Dakota. I think it's in the Dakotas they call them that. Or maybe it's just North Dakota. I don't know. But no, it's South Dakota because Sodak Zach always mentions the.
Yeah.
But I've got the black version of the Nano.
And here's another version right here. It's pretty common here too. It's
That's tiny. A cool version. Yeah, it's real tiny. That's a cool version. I like that one. Yeah, that
the twist and there's a little thing. So it's pretty similar in size. It's built a little skinnier.
Yeah, but that one you got there is cool because it's a hanging. You can hang that one.
Right.
These have magnets, of course, on the bottoms of them. So yeah. So
somebody mentioned the Nano ammo cans. I love those. We found one of those recently. We should have brought one of those.
Right. I had one. And it got muggled. You mean the little tiny ammo can? They're not really Nano. You talking about
but they're still the smallest size, right? Extra small, I guess what they call them now. So Cash the Line said we call those Picos. I don't know if he's talking about the one I had or the one you had.
Oh, probably the one you had.
This one.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before, Picos.
That's cool. We'll talk about Jesse and I were talking about before the show started. We'll talk about some of the other versions of this, other cache containers down the road. But so let's get into, I guess let's start with the ammo can. He's the elephant in the room, as it were, between the two of them. What do you like about the ammo can?
So when I find one, I'm still pretty excited because they're still kind of more rare than what you typically see is Tupperware, 35 millimeter, medicine bottles, that kind of stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Ziploc baggies are even worse sometimes, but
sure, that's for sure. Yeah.
I do like when I find them because they're generally in good shape. Yeah,
they're almost indestructible. I mean, really.
And usually it's going to be somebody that has been around for a little while.
Yeah.
Like usually, a brand new cacher that's dropping his first cache, and it's going to be, it's not going to be their first hide is not going to be an ammo can. So I kind of like that. They're good, solid containers.
Yep. They usually stay dry.
Yeah, they usually stay dry.
Yeah. I mean, not the outside, obviously.
Yeah.
The contents.
They're pretty solid. And so, like, even in in Colorado where I cache, we have some extreme weathers, right?
Yep.
Weather conditions like floods, fires, avalanche, stuff like that. They will generally hold up to all of those in moderation, right? We've had fires sweep through, and then the ammo cans will be charred on the outside, but they'll still be there. Looks up where a thing would not be there anymore.
No, it
would be gone. So they're pretty durable. I mean, they're made for the military, so they're very durable. But they're pretty durable for our purposes.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. You and I found a few together.
Yep.
We found the crazy one that we always tell the story, the crazy story of finding the one that we didn't read the description like.
Oh, yeah.
The CFO told us. That's an ammo can.
That was actually a good Geocache.
Yep. Do you remember finding the one in the covered wagon?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it was painted up to look like both the wagon and the design label of that business.
Yeah. Really kind of, well, I wouldn't say overkill because it was inside of a wagon, so you really didn't. You could put any kind of container in there.
So there's
kind
where I would,
of cool, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're getting off pros though. All
right, we'll stay with pros
into later. So what's your pros for it? So durability is the biggest pro that I would say.
Yeah. When we go and we find an ammo can, I'm thinking of the Motley Caching crew of the MCC. We go out. In fact, we're going out in a couple weeks. But when we do, one of the MCCs, Dirty Wood, he loves it because he's so good with kids. He's good with his kids, his grandkids. He's really great with children, and he's always concerned about swag. None of our group really collects it. I mean, we might collect an item or two, but we don't really think much about it. When he finds something like that, he empties his pockets. He always carries around in his pockets all these cool little. I mean, he has a whole. I mean, he has got a lot of cool. He goes to a lot of trouble to get swag to give out, assuming that the kids are wanting to do the trades and everything. So he's very concerned about it. And oh my gosh, if you can keep an ammo can stocked well for swag, I mean, there's nothing better for a kid to go. You go, hey, we're going to find an ammo can today, probably. And the kids are like, yay, we get to find an ammo can,
Yeah.
Go grab your backpack, son. We're headed out. It's like, yay, trade time. So I mean,
that is a pro then, room for swag.
Absolutely. And sometimes you find really cool stuff. I mean, there's.
And just because it has room for swag doesn't mean there's actually going to be swag in it.
No, that's the sad thing is so many of them, you open them up and you almost hear like, you open it up and you almost hear like opening a house that has nothing in it right now. It's like, oh my gosh, this thing is like empty. So then you're like, I don't know, I always feel guilty. It's like, where's my swag bag? Let me try to get some stuff in there. I mean, I don't know. Then you feel like I gotta fill it, don't I? Or I gotta put some stuff in it. So anyway, so what other? Okay, cons, because the pros you covered a lot of.
Yeah, durability and room for swag. I mean, I think that's the biggest ones that anybody would say.
Absolutely.
For ammo cans. What about cons? You want to start that one?
Yeah. In the world we live in today, ammo cans, and this is, I need to clarify this. Depending on where you live in the world and what part of that world that you live in, for us,
you're being too nice. Dirty, rotten thieves are out there.
Well, there's that. But I'm also thinking about is bomb scare stuff. And I know we'll get into that more later, but I mean, as far as a con, it seems like that you could, back in the old days, you could pretty much have an ammo can pretty much anywhere. And nowadays, at least in America, our society is so freaked out about everything.
In fairness, it is a military container designed to store ammo.
Oh, right.
Of all the PVC pipes and bison tubes out there that get bomb calls on them, that one actually probably should more than the other ones.
Yeah, because you could pack a big punch.
Yes, you can.
Explosive-wise with an ammo can.
Right.
Versus you literally could not put, unless you're putting nuclear device, which I don't know if you probably couldn't even get one.
You're not doing anything with that.
No, even if you packed it with gunpowder, it's not going to make that big of
No.
It could hurt.
So bomb scare, dirty, rotten thieves.
Dirty, rotten thieves.
And that was mentioned in the chat room too, so I don't mind. We don't even have to really go over that one. Everybody understands that one. People steal ammo cans. Here's the con I'm going to say.
Yep.
It's too big.
Yeah, it's the thrill of the hunt. There's no thrill to it.
It's great for regular size cache. That's great, but that's a downside of it. Is it's too big for a lot of environments.
Oh, that too.
Fit into a lot of environments, but we'll get more to that later. But I'm just going to list that as a con for now. But
no, and really another con is, other than the story I'm about to tell on myself, you can't miss it.
Right?
Can you? Can you miss one? I mean, actually, I did miss one. That was the story that people love to tell, and of course, the wife loves to tell this story because it's so funny. No, it is funny. And we walked up in the cemetery, and I'm head down. I'm looking at my phone, and I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to read about this cache. It's like, okay, it looks like this cache has been found recently, and it looks like it's probably still here, and it's been here a while. And she goes, honey, look down. And so I was like, oh, it's right there. That's how bad it was. That is how bad I was that day, and the fact that I wasn't even going to look for the cache, and I was standing right. It could have.
You know what? I'm not going to blame that one on the ammo can. That's all you, buddy.
That's all on me.
That could have been a 5-gallon container. You still would have missed that one at that point.
I still would have missed it. But it does come back to the argument, or not argument. Well, it's a con. The fact that
the size of it is a con, right?
I mean, if you miss it, I mean, come on, you're like, either the cords have to be incredibly off. I mean, you could camo it, I guess, sort of. I mean, you could bury it in leaves. I mean, right. there are ways to camo an ammo can, but you can't really make it blend into the. I mean, you can to an extent, I guess. You could sort of.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk camo stuff later, but I think for right now, I think a con is the size, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I think that sounds good. It's the size, whether it's good at sometimes or not.
Yeah.
In some situations, it's not good.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll jump into the next one. Conversely, we're gonna do pros, right? So
yeah.
For a Nano,
mm-hmm.
actually one of the benefits is the size.
Right. Right.
For certain tasks, it's a lot easier to hide. So
yeah.
So I'll start with the pros on a Nano.
Okay.
It's really easy to hide in any environment.
Yes.
You don't need a lot of space to hide it.
You literally could put it in almost any location. Now, should you put it in any location? That's going to be a later
and that's
argument.
That's a location issue. But anywhere you can stick your finger, you can stick a Nano.
Right. So technically, though, it fits in every environment. Whether you should put it in every environment, that's for later on. But for now, I mean, city, country, it doesn't really matter. That's a different pro. I agree.
Right. Another pro, I guess, then if you're talking about that, is you're probably not going to get. Well, no, you shouldn't get a bomb scare for a Nano, but it just happened this last week.
Right.
I sent you that article.
I did.
Or whatever, but it was one of those typical bison tubes hanging on like a handicap parking sign, and they called the police on it.
Right.
Are you kidding me? How paranoid and dumb do we have to be to think that somebody is bombing a handicap sign?
Right.
First of all, if you bomb something and that would blow something up, you're not going to bomb a sign. Maybe a building or a bank or something, a government building, not a sign in the middle of a parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That is.
But anyway,
absolutely ridiculous. That's what I'm talking about. People are beyond paranoid. This is in the U.S. Now, if you're in a country where you could hide a bison on a sign without any issue, or if you would have a big issue, we'd like to hear about it.
Yeah.
Send us an email, geocachetalk@gmail.com. Tell us what country you're in, because we'd like to know. We always like to learn about what is going on in, I don't know, Romania or somewhere. So, I mean, whatever country you live in.
Yeah. Now that brings up a good point too. So tonight, as we go through, we're going to probably say some things, at least I am, say some things that people are going to disagree with. We really do want to hear about, especially on these shows,
Yeah.
If we have a guest on and he's giving his opinions or talking about his experience, we don't want to hear how they mess something up, because that's not very nice.
Right.
But if we say something that's out of line or crazy, or you disagree or agree, shoot them in there. Shoot us that email, geocachetalk@gmail.com. We definitely want to hear some feedback on this one, because even though we have the chat room, the audio people don't get to be in the chat room. So we definitely want to hear feedback on this tonight and hear what different people's opinions, because there's a lot of stuff we're not going to be able to get to, and we love this. That's why we do it. So send those in.
Yeah, Electric Water Boy in the chat room mentioned that you really hate that. If you really hate that sign enough and you wanted to get that space, you could get rid of that sign.
There you go.
All
right. So any more pros for that? I mean, basically it'll fit anywhere. That's the biggest thing, right?
Oh gosh, yes. There's
they're cheap.
Yes, and you can camouflage them. You can really take them and you can add various ways you can camo up.
You can add them to some other item.
Yeah, and you can really they're very versatile in that way. Being magnetized, they will fit into metallic locations that the ammo can obviously you can't do, and a camo unless you actually put magnets in an ammo can, they don't come magnetized.
Right.
But typically with a Nano, they will come with a magnet on the bottom of them. And so,
and the other thing is too, with those, they come pre-camouflaged cheaply, right? You can order a bag of these for a pretty cheap price compared to an actual metal ammo can.
Sure.
And they come in different common, like, rust colored, gritty sand, that kind of stuff. They come from the factory like that. So I'd say that's another pro.
Yep. I have seen some tricky things people have done as far as hides.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, if you want to do a fairly, I wouldn't say evil, but a fairly evil hide is if you have a spot that's an LPC, and we don't have time tonight to talk about LPCs, but if they are what they are, they're handy for what they are. You put one of these babies in there, and it's because you'll get people who are going to go, they lift up the skirt and they go, yep, not here anymore. Down goes the skirt. And then they send
There's some other thing. When we talk about LPCs, I've got another evil hide for that too.
Oh, okay.
Variation on that.
But I've had people, in fact, I've done it myself, in that I've sent a note to the cache owner, and I'm very nice though. I never claim that the cache is ever gone anymore. It's almost unheard of for me to mention if a cache is gone, because I miss them, and people miss them all the time, even people who've experience. And I sent one to Techie Girl here in the Dallas area, and met her before, so I kind of know her a little bit. I go, you think that one's still there? And she's like, yes, it's still there, Gary. Go find it. You'll be fine. It's like, dang it. So I go back, and I will have done the whole sweep. We've all done this. Lift the skirt and start sweeping with your hand. Because you're like, okay.
Knock out the wasp nest real quick.
Yeah. Hey, I'll look underneath the metal part. You got the metal part of the lamppost cache. You look underneath it. And so, because you got to go, oh, she says it's still there. It's probably a Nano. So do the sweep. And I couldn't find it. Left. Dang it. Come back and did another sweep with the hand. And sure enough, that little Nano was stuck in a corner. And it was just perfectly positioned. It was just perfectly positioned in the corner, upper right corner, right up at the edge. And if you don't check it just perfectly, you can miss it. The other time that I've had a situation, again, this is with the Motley Caching crew. We were out, and people had checked a fire hydrant, and they walked away from it. And me and TP Conductor, we walked over to it, and I'm like, because all clues pointed to it being at the fire hydrant. They're searching some other areas, so I'm very carefully working my way, get my hands in and working my way around that thing. And sure enough, that little booger head was perfectly positioned on that fire hydrant, just off of where you could. And so
It's
it
right
was
behind the
there.
bolts, the little.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
not necessarily the bolts. There's a rim on some of the fire hydrants.
Oh yeah.
There's a recessed rim, and if you don't check a corner of the recessed rim,
Mm-hmm.
it can hide on next to that corner, and it feels like it's the corner. But if
Those
you
great
really
places to
check it,
hide 'em.
oh yeah, that's just two of.
So
of
I've got a.
Go
Well,
ahead.
we're talking about hides. We jumped over. Let's hit the cons real quick. So what's the
Okay,
cons on
sorry.
Nano, and then we'll come back to the hides because I got a similar story.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of jumped ahead. Sorry about that.
Well, we have lots of stories about this. That's
we do.
keeping us under control. This one's gonna be hard. So cons
Yeah.
on Nanos, and then we'll jump forward to the better hides.
Okay. Cons are I
I'll
can't
give you
put
an easy one. Go ahead.
I can't put a trackable in it.
No, they're
Okay.
boring. They're not exciting to find, right? As far as the actual container, we're talking about the container, not the hide right now.
The container, yeah.
Not the cache. If you take a brand new cacher, like somebody mentioned earlier in the chat room, if you take a brand new cacher to one and see that, they're going to have a different opinion of what caching is probably than if you show them an ammo can the first time.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you take a kid to a Nano, unless it's hidden in a really cool place, they're going to be like, there's no toys in there, right? So the toy thing is out. So the actual container itself, take away camouflage, if you just buy it from the factory and stick it on there, it's not as exciting.
No.
As an ammo can, because at least an ammo can's a little bigger and neater and holds the promise of possibly holding probably missing trackables and some swag.
Yeah.
So
possibly.
Until you open it, you don't know that it's empty. So a Nano, you know it's empty. So that would be the biggest con of a Nano, right?
Right.
It's just not as big and cool. But
no.
So those being pros and cons, those are good and bad for both of them, but they have different places, right? So now let's jump back into the better hide. And you were talking about LPCs and fire hydrants. Obviously, at a fire hydrant, you're not dropping an ammo can.
Right.
I don't think. I'm sure there's probably a way you could, but not on a standard one.
No.
Oh, you know what? Con. I think I just saw one in here.
Oh
yeah. The logs. So the log on a Nano is really tiny.
And heck yeah.
But to manipulate and deal with. So.
Oh, she's right. Yeah.
And you have those turds that write their name very long on them and stuff.
Oh gosh.
Faces
across the silly thing, they'll write across it.
Yeah. So a con is definitely that little bitty tiny log.
Yeah.
However, somebody writing on it, that's really more the cacher. That's not the cache. So that little tiny log is kind of a pain.
It is a beating unless you have a log roller, which is real handy. I love my little log roller. But yeah, Scott's right. Owen from KC, they're mentioning that the log is a beating.
It is. It's a pain in the rear end. It's a pain in the O-ring.
Yes, it is a well, and with a Nano, we'll talk about the log part.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun to go back through and just spend time, especially if it's a really, really old cache. It's like, say, a Jasmer. You could sit and read through. You can sit there and read page after page and go, "Oh, cool! Look who's found this one." You're not doing
the old ones like that. Although most of the newer ones, people just write their name or initials or
Yeah, old school people would write a little note, like a real note on the log, not in the electronic side, but they'll write it in there. But you're not really doing that with a Nano.
But you know what? People don't really do that much anymore.
No, sadly.
Some cachers do. Some caches, kind of are more natural to that. But most of the time, and I think we've talked about this before, right? I subscribe to the log anarchy principle.
Yeah.
Every time I find a log, there's a cacher nearby that has a circular sticker.
Yes.
And I always sign in the middle of his name. I don't care if it was 8 months back.
Right.
I always sign in the middle of his name, just my initials to go there. Right. So, I don't write a story. But if I have one that's like on top of a mountain and there's a big logbook in it, I'll wrise a story for that. But
right. Absolutely. Right.
All right. So better to hide. And you were talking about LPCs. So because I'm one step more evil than you. I have done it where you put it up under the bottom of the skirt,
Yep.
My favorite is to take it and put it up. So dig it and slide it up the lamppost like 8 feet. And so many people will miss those because, it's there. And I'll adjust the terrain or whatever, or the difficult. It's not hard to find. You can see it when you stand there.
Right.
The difficulty is not it. It's the terrain. Well, people don't pay much attention to that. They go, "Oh, it's an LPC. He must just inflate this because it's a challenge." So I like to do it on challenge.
Right.
And it'll be like 8 foot up, And you can do it because you can usually step on the little concrete to get it pretty easily. But you have to see it. So
we had one. The last find we did it a couple weeks ago. We did a county run because Susan and I are really getting into finishing all the counties in Texas. We want to be finishers. We won't get there this year, but we're working on it. And so the last find for the night, we were at a spot and we looked around. It was at a business. And so you're always kind of like, you turn into a little bit of a different cacher. You know what I mean? When you get into a business situation, so you're really stealthy. You're trying not to be noticed. You're trying to be sort of nonchalant. And so we went around this corner and we were right at this location and we kind of looked a little bit and I looked at Susan and I said, I think I have an idea. So I looked up and it was on this overhang. And so I stood there and I raised my hand up and I go, what do you think, honey? She goes, you're not getting that one. And I said, oh, we've got a tool. So in the car, I've got one of those not old time for the senior folks. Okay. Susan's telling me that she's the one that told me to go find. No, that's right.
Now the truth comes out.
So she's correcting me. No, she did. She suggested the tot. So, but there's an example of what you're talking about. It's like, I can't reach that thing. I could see it. I can't reach it. So we had our grabber. You've probably seen one of those or have one of those. So I was able to take my little grabber, reach up and grab it and do it. And, then slide it back in the spot, just like, and we thought about you, Jesse, when we found that one, because it was.
Well, I just did Nano recently, so that's exactly what.
Right.
We have this annual event, and we always hide caches for it, every year.
Right.
And that's what we did this year. We, those big utility poles, the big metal ones, that are 20 feet around or whatever.
Oh no, you did not.
The magnetic key boxes.
Yes. Oh, I think you told me about this.
A 12-foot board and slid them straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like 15 feet or 12 feet plus, 5 or 6 feet. So they're like 20-something feet in the air. And
right.
You can see them when you get there.
Oh,
but, sure. You got to have a tool or because you can't climb them. They're too big around to climb,
And you can't do that with an ammo can. You can do it with an Nano.
Yeah, that would be hard. Ammo can up there.
Can't do it with an ammo can. No, you could do something. I've seen some unique stuff with those. I've seen some ammo cans on string or on on wires or whatever, and they'll have them up in a tree and they'll be hooked around, so they're sort of hidden, and you've got to find the right spot. And when you find it, then you sort of unravel it, and you could lower it down. So there's there's obviously some cool things you can do as far as
I actually found one of those like that. There's one, if you're ever hunting the old caches, LPS 001 is the oldest in Tennessee.
Yeah.
If you go about 700-800 feet further into the woods from that one, on the trail, there's one exactly like you're describing. It's a full ammo can, and you lower it down on a string, and
that's
cool. It's pretty cool off the trail. But so what else about hiding them?
Something I won't do.
I would say you can hide a Nano anywhere. You have to be very selective about where you hide an ammo can.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing. And people mentioned this week leading up to the show, is that should you, or are you seen as, what if you tell me what you think. What if I took this little guy this little black one here. And I go out into the forest, which, you know, there's a few woods around here. You have to get out of town a little ways. And I can go down a trail and I find this perfect spot. And instead of hiding an ammo can with, the largest thing you can pretty much hide is an ammo can for the most part. Instead,
nobody really hides larges, right? I mean, there's a couple of those and some unicorns out there, but we don't ever find them. So,
but instead, I hide this little booger, and then I go, there you go and find that, and you're like, because even the best GPS today, we're still, 12 feet's not bad. So, but if you have a 12-foot radius around an area, and you're like, really, you're going to make me search for a Nano in a 12-foot radius, and I don't know. So is that okay to do?
Yes. So here's the thing. People hate micros in the woods.
Yeah, they say they do.
People say that, right?
Right.
And I hit a series, and I've talked about it before. I hit a series earlier on in the mountains, and they were all serious hikes. Like really tough hikes to get to. And you had to also climb a tree once you got to the top of the mountains and find a Nano hidden way high up in the tree, like, 25 feet up in the tree or so. Nothing crazy, but after the hike, you're pretty tired, right? And those were challenging. To me, it's not challenging. Okay, you got the hike, you get up there to the tree, and then a big old ammo can is chained to the bottom of the tree. That's not even much of a search. You're just finding it,
Right.
I like, there's different places for everybody, but for me to say never hide a Nano in the woods, that's silly. That means never hide anything of difficulty. So how are you going to have a difficult hide on an ammo can? So they're straight up fudging on those difficulties, right? Because it's this big. It's bigger than my head.
Yes.
It's not hard to find that. However, see, I lost it. I can't even find my Nano.
Right. That's how hard it is.
Desk. That in a tree, that's a difficult find.
It is.
Just like in kindergarten, I started off with that big fat pencil.
Right.
I had to learn how to write, right?
That's right.
I don't use that fat pencil anymore.
That's right. You don't need the big.
I do other stuff now. I like to be able to be challenged. Now, still neat sometimes to have an ammo can, right?
Sure.
For swag and for old dog books, but to say never had one, no, I don't buy into that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
A challenge when I get there. And I'm okay with knowing that it's going to be really hard, or it's going to be, I get up in the tree and I'm like, it's not here. I'm 12 feet away. There's another tree within 6 feet. Uh-oh, I need to climb another tree.
Right.
Okay, I like that. I wouldn't want everyone to be like that, right?
Right.
But to say never to do that and they're never any good, no, I'm not buying into that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I love the hikes and the climbs, and I love that stuff. But I don't always want it to be a big old ammo can and just I get there. Oh, that was only the journey. It's not about the search when you get there. So,
yeah. Why can't you have both? Why can't you have a cool location and a cool, challenging hide?
Yeah.
At the same time, you have both. Have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So I noticed in the chat room, and I don't know how you handle the chat room every week, Jesse. I get over there and this.
I kind of missed it, but
there was one that went by, and it's like, I'm so glad you're there, buddy, to do those, because if I try to do both every week, I think I can do it. But Houston, Texas Dave mentioned about a Nano in the water, and I never thought about that. I don't know. I haven't done a lot of water caches, so not sure.
Look,
how
you said it's pretty tough to turn a Nano into a gadget cache.
Okay. Yes.
Au contraire.
Okay.
So the container is the only thing that holds the log, but you could have a 18-foot tall
box
cache,
right?
It just spits out a little Nano. So I would say that you could do. I think WV10 even has some of those that spits out a little pill container or a little small one.
Yeah.
If you're being creative, like we're going to get into, I think you can do it with both.
Yeah, he's got the one, but he uses a little bison too. But you could do it as with a Nano, and that's the one where you take the marbles and you put them in the one end, and you pop out the other end a marble, and you move it around
Yeah,
and inside.
I built one of those for 14er.
For 14, right?
Yeah, that was
Exactly.
a gadget cache.
Yeah,
The bison tube in the middle.
but you could do a Nano in the middle somehow. I think.
Yes. Yeah,
Possibly.
behind the cache just mentioned that. Yeah, I built that one for 14er, and it was a Nano, Nano in the middle of it. Actually,
Yep.
all those birdhouse caches had Nano containers inside them.
Right.
All the gadget caches.
Yeah.
But and again, back to the Nano in the woods. I don't want all of them to be that way.
Sure.
But I think a good mix of them there's some good opportunities for both of those. So.
Yep. Right.
Okay. So, which is better to find?
Which is better to find?
I think that depends on how you're really answering that question.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been baffled. I've been stumped by the Nano before, and I gave those two examples. The one where it's an LPC, it stumped me, and it's just because of the right spot. And I consider that a fun hide. I mean, I told the story. It's a memorable to me. It's a memorable hide because it was tough, and to accomplish it and come back and go, yay, I got that one, because and the one I tell about me with the Motley Caching Crew and the fire hydrant, because of course our group, I don't know if everybody else has a group like this, but we do this to each other all the time, and that is, if you can find it, grab it, and have none of the other people see you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal,
fun. Right?
That's the goal of it's the goal of our group, is to find the cache, grab it, and walk away just for a few minutes, and sort of, but you got to try to do it without nobody seeing you. Otherwise the gig is up. But if they see you, or if they don't see you, then you kind of walk around, and then and the other thing we do now is to try to take a photo of the cache container with the group in the background still searching. That's right. Our next. Right. That's our other. That's our other thing to do. And if you get away with that,
it'd be kind of hard to do that with an ammo can.
You can't do that, right? But it's
so I would say there's some sneakier stuff to finding. I like the sneaky finds, like in urban settings or whatever, and it's like under a park bench and you have to try to sneak around, or it's under a railing and you have to try to sneak around. Those are fun. However, when having said all this so far, I'm excited every time I find an ammo can, because it's just a neat container, and it seems like it's something that's kind of out of the past. Like for me, we joke around about it, like using a GPS. That seems like that older yesteryear thing, that
right.
That's great. I'm an iPhone cacher 100%, but it's still neat when we find an ammo can, because there could be something in it. It could be old. It could have a cool log. It could have trackables in it. So, I get that excitement a little bit. Wow, cool, an ammo can. There's a downside to that, and I'm going to mention it later when we get into something. Okay. But so I say it's neat when I find one, but it's usually not a sneaky thing when you find it. So
no,
it depends on who I'm caching with, right? So
yeah, and you kind of, for you will anticipate the ammo can, especially on some of the ones you've done where it's a serious hike. I mean, a serious hike. Yeah, you're going to the top of a hill that's a pretty good size in Colorado, and you're probably assuming it's an ammo can at the top, more than likely, and you get up there, and so you're sort of anticipating. It's like a big trophy at that point. It's like you pick it up and you kind of, it's great for photos. I mean, holding up an ammo can and going, yeah, we did it, we got to the top of the mountain, isn't really like holding up a Nano going, yeah, we got to the top of the mountain. It's like, that's all you found? Was that?
Yeah, and now hands down now, when so if I see it's a regular size cache,
yeah,
I'm hoping for ammo can. There's no doubt about it, right? We're not comparing container types, different types of containers. We can do that another time, but if it's a micro, it's a micro, whatever. But if I see regular, I'm hoping for ammo can, without a doubt. And I'm hiking up to the top. I'm hoping it's not some crappy Tupperware container with a chip out the side of it and a wet log inside it. I'm hoping it's
right. Or what about like Terryall? Spoiler alert, Terryall.
Yeah, but
is a large. I mean,
yeah.
is that? I mean,
that one's
so
only a neat hide because it's so old, right?
it's so old, and it's kind of a neat little spot. I mean,
No, it's no. The location, everything is. It's not the containers. What I'm saying.
oh
There's
yeah,
nothing
yeah, no,
cool about that
no,
container other than the fact that you get to one more large on your statistics page, right?
right? Because I
It's
don't
not
have
even
a lot of
painted
larges.
or decorated. It's just an orange bucket.
Yeah. Well, now some people will mark the ammo can incorrectly. They won't mark it regular. They'll mark it large.
Yeah, and again, that's not a fault of the container. That's a fault of the cacher, and we've
I
gotten
agree.
into it before, and there's that debate. It was going on a little bit in the chat room too, like if it's a gadget cache, but the container is a Nano, what size is it? We've kind of
What
talked about that on
size?
the show before.
Sort of size other, I think, kind of.
And
I
we'll be
mean,
totally sidetracked and be on that all night long.
yeah.
But there's a lot of interpretation out there, right? But
Yeah.
So since you mentioned that, Terriol, it's just an orange bucket sitting there.
Yep.
Could they have decorated it up? Yes,
Sure.
they could.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's one of the problems. That's one of the problems I have with ammo cans. I like to find an ammo can, but people usually just throw out this.
Yeah.
Go, well, I spent $11 on an ammo can. There's no reason to do anything to it.
Or put a sticker on it.
I don't even paint it or do anything on it or even cover up the military markings. Why would I be creative? It's an ammo can. Yes, it's an ammo can, but you can still be creative, right? Just like you can with a Nano or anything else, or hide it in gum, one of those gum hide containers or like a pine cone that was mentioned before in the chat room, or you can do that with an Nano. You can still do that with an ammo can too. Just because you spent your $11, doesn't mean you can't do something neat to it.
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking about an ammo can that's been decorated and painted up, that's a different level, right?
Yeah, I agree.
The one
done right, too.
One, it was painted up like the wagon and stuff.
Yeah.
Those I'm excited when I find them. Hands down, those are the coolest containers out there when somebody spends the effort to do it. But really not a fair comparison because you're now comparing a cache and like a gadget cache. You can't compare those two.
No.
A regular hide and somebody that's really decorated one up, to paint or put their family picture on it, or not just camo like with the little leaves like we've seen on YouTube a million times. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
But I mean, really has done something that's gone with the theme of the cache. Now that's cool. You can't really beat that because it's going to last and it's special when you find those. But those are more rare, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think of, even however many. I mean, that other than the one we found, I can't think of any now. I hid the one that you created, which I think is really cool, which was a blue. It was already automatically blue, but you put to even enhance the fact that blue is the color for Where I Go. You put the Where I Go. It's in wood, isn't it? Is it?
No,
wood?
It's 3D printed.
3D printed. So it's a
3D printed the Where I Go symbol and then painted the whole thing blue, to go with the
exactly.
theme. See, that's a little neater, I think.
Yeah, and that's the final for my reverse Where I Go here in town. So if you come down and you want to find a cool container, that's probably my coolest container out there right now, I think, is that one. But like you said, that an ammo can gives you a pretty big canvas, and I know that people do that, and I think it's really a cool idea is to get people, even if you have like a non, you may have necessarily a muggle, but you may have somebody in your family who's like geocaching, I can take or leave it, but they might be artistic, and you might go, hey, could you paint this ammo can for me? Oh, cool. Hey, I'm into this now, because they get to use some of their skills and some of their talent to create something kind of neat. So it's kind of another way for people to get involved, I think.
So the chat room's blowing up, and it's funny too. And what Houston, Texas Dave said, you'll have to read it. I can't actually say it out loud, but it's very funny.
Okay, I'll go read it.
And then Bounce said he's made several gadget cache ammo cans to give away at events. Those are awesome. And if anybody hasn't checked on Instagram or online, or if they're from the Northwest, Bounce has like amazing caches, like a whole new level caches that it's ridiculous. Go look him up he's on social media. I've seen him on Instagram, not on much other social media, but like he's making those into gadget cache and hand those out. That's a different level of ammo can. Right now, we're really enhancing it, and maybe it's because of the platform too. But very, very cool. We're talking about it really enhancing it, and then somebody else said,
something clean. There's a lot of.
Yeah, that is hilarious. But I cannot. We cannot read that on our show.
There's a lot of Valentine's Day discussions if you know it. If you get the drift.
So, but the yeah, I think if you now we're talking about something different though, right? So that it sets ammo cans apart. So the where I go when you talk about, I like, and I know they get stolen, and somebody mentioned about cable locking them to
well then
I do that too.
Yeah, you got to do that nowadays.
But I had one that I painted up and made it look like a Jeep.
Oh, cool.
I used parts from Remote Control Toys and built up a Jeep on the Ammo Cam platform or whatever.
That
was super popular, and that's fun when you take kids to see those. Or I had one that I made into an anniversary cache. It had a picture of the CFO and I drawn on it, and had our anniversary date and some hearts and all that other stuff. Those are adding something different, but you don't see those very often, right?
No, they're pretty rare, unfortunately.
Bounce Bounce is hashtag BounceBounce8 on Instagram, so I think you can follow that. Go check his stuff out because I've been seeing him recently, and I think he was on Geo Gearheads recently too.
Yeah.
Holy crap, his stuff is amazing. The stuff that he does is ridiculous, and I wish he needs to move to Colorado. Is all I can say.
Oh wow! Is it ammo can or just
caches? Gadget caches that are ridiculous.
Oh, okay. Gadget caches, gotcha.
But so if you take an ammo can and you do something with that platform and paint it up and do something really pretty, and I've seen some awesome ones out there. If we're talking about that blows away every other container out there. And I would take people new or old to those all day long.
Yep.
But so creativity is a big thing, but I think people really rely on the fact that it's just a cool ammo can, so I'm just going to throw it out there and put some rocks on top of it.
I agree completely.
So then for finding it, it's usually a lackluster find in that case.
Right. And you're hoping that it's a good spot or whatever. Yeah. There are different reasons why you love it. Of course, you and I love them all because we're obsessed. But that's
I like all aspects of it. And people,
right.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
But
swag is next.
Swag,
this is not much of a debate.
No, it's swag we talked about a little while ago too, and the fact that
ammo can wins that one hands down. There's no comparison really there. But
better LPC hide, obviously. We talked about the Nano as the winner.
And I think there are some ammo can LPC hides out there. I don't know how they they made them. It's super big.
Yeah.
Whatever, but
worked it out.
Typical is the Nano for that. Nano pretty much wins out on that if you're wanting to do an LPC hide, and they have their place, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and WV Tim has a very unique one. I don't really want to spoil it, but he's got an LPC that technically is an ammo can, but you'll need to go watch a video on YouTube.
Yeah, that one's a pretty cool one.
My other little note as far as painting something up, somebody took one of these little, I think they took a black one actually. Let me pull up the black one and show you, but they took that, Jesse, and they very carefully painted it and put a little face on it and a little white beard, and he was wearing a white hat and he's wearing a red coat. That's some creativity, and that's so tiny, but it made a little
skill too.
Yeah, they made a little Santa Nano, and it was really cool looking. And so that takes some serious creativity to do. And I thought that was awesome because he did it. The little guy, it looked just like Santa. And so Santa. So no, it was anyway, that cool idea.
Common one of those is when they're talking about camouflage is they'll take him and stick him inside a stick or a log.
Yeah.
They hide great when you do that. So your pile of sticks actually, you see that suspicious pile of rocks or pile of sticks. One of those actually may be the Nano hidden inside there. So that's
sure.
You can camouflage Nanos up pretty good as well. But
yeah, I've got one that's at a location where it took me a little while, but I found the same color of this weird brown color. It was sort of a orangey brown, and I happened to find and match it. And sure enough, when you take that Nano and in your hand, it doesn't look like anything. You set it there and you just look away from it and you go, I can't see it. It's kind of blended in. So I mean, those are cool when you find those. So.
Absolutely. All right. So the next thing is the muggle issue.
Yeah. That's become a big deal. Again, it depends on where you live. I mean, I don't think. I mean, there's parts of Colorado that you don't have any muggle issue because a muggle's not going to go clear to the top of a hill or mountain and probably take what's there.
Yeah, you have less muggle issues, in the backcountry and stuff like that.
Right.
But in the cities here, you have the same issue as anywhere else.
Right. In the city, we have major muggle. People love to snoop around, and if they see something, they would rather take it and throw it in the trash than they would to just go, well, it's not mine. I'm not going to mess with it. It seems like in the US at least, we have a big issue with people who don't mind their own business, and if they find something, they just take it, regardless of whether. So
before I started chaining my ammo cans down,
and
I don't know if I've ever told this story on this show, but I spent a long time, multiple coats of paint. I used my Dremel to draw on the side of this ammo can that I'd painted up and drawn a picture of our Jeep, and painted up the name of the can, everything else, and inscribed it or whatever, and did lots of coats of paint and clear coat and everything else. And it was set up with a couple locks,
right,
and trackables out that had the keys on them. So you had to track down the trackables, and you had to get three of the four trackables to open the locks to do it.
Oh, neat.
And that lasted a week, and it was stolen. I spent several months doing this.
Dang it.
I thought it was good, and it was stolen within like 2 weeks. Like 3 people had a chance to find it.
That's that.
All that effort, the trackables, the story that I built to go along with it, everything else. And now I should have chained it down, but
sure,
somebody could have ultimately cut that chain, too. But oh my gosh, the muggles around here, if you put an ammo can out in the city, it's gone. I've had several muggled. It's hard. So I do put those out way, way, way out when I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, and sadly, a lot of my hides, whenever they get stolen, I tend to, just because of the fact I'm trying to maintain that location for people to find stuff, I end up making the container kind of smaller. I'm sorry, but I have to go from a birdhouse that gets destroyed with a baseball bat. It kind of goes down to maybe a lock and lock, because I don't want to stick another one out there and have it bashed in again. So it tends to, whereas pretty much again, let's say that the hide for muggle purposes really requires a Nano, because otherwise I can't hide anything there that's going to survive.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to muggle proof. I mean, you can chain them down, but unless it's somewhere that's really in the public, they can cut those if they want them,
Sure.
So for muggles, I would give that point to Nano.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot more muggle proof. They really are.
They are. And we talked a little bit about durability. How has your durability been with Nanos? We know that the ammo can's durable.
So I'm saying that even though technically I know like Nanos are made out of metal and stuff like that, and Bison tubes are made out of metal or really light aluminum or whatever, there are moving parts to it.
Yeah.
There's the threads, there's the O-ring that dries out.
Yeah.
Dries out. Yeah. I would say that hands down for me anyway, my experience is the ammo can outlives the Nano containers of any type by far. I've seen them be tougher. They've been kicked around, dropped, crushed under boulders, that kind of stuff. And they're always a heck of a lot tougher than the Nanos that I put out anyway.
I have noticed, and I wonder if you've noticed this, even the best created or best manufacturer, I don't know if I have, and maybe the chat room, or if people can email us at geocachetalk@gmail.com, but I have found, and you may have found this too, that as these age, that the the glue around the
Yes.
magnet, and so I'll have people who will say, "Hey, your cache needs maintenance." I'm like, "Cool. What do I need to do?" And they're like, "Well, it's no longer attached to the magnet." And so
Yeah. I've had that happen as well.
I keep a whole. I mean, I don't know if you have a bunch of neodymium magnets. I've got a bunch of them, which I love because they're so hard to get apart. But I
Well,
love
with
these
some
little
of those
guys.
nanos, the magnet is on the
So,
inside.
oh, true. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
But yes, they wear out, and also like so. One of my most recent ones that I had to archive was at the top of a bridge. So it's
Mm-hmm.
one of those bridges, like pedestrian bridge you walk across, but it has the one that we went to with the railroad cache. That
Yep.
it had the real tall, 15, 20 feet in the air, whatever, and it
Yep.
has the horizontal cross members.
Also, uh-huh.
So you have to go up there, and it's on top of one of those. So you have to climb up the side of the bridge and you get on top of those. And it was
Right.
a little blinky, a little tiny nano
Right.
black to fit with the bridge or whatever, the metal bridge.
Right.
And people would get up there, and maybe because you're 25 feet off the ground, whatever it is, they would
Mm-hmm.
drop it a lot.
Sure.
So, because it's hard to manipulate and use while you're up there and you're climbing on top of this thing and probably a little scared.
Yeah.
That one went missing 3 times before I ended up archiving it.
Oh my.
And it was a bummer. And people would, they would email me and go, "Man, I'm sorry, I dropped this. I didn't have an extra blinky or whatever. I didn't have an extra one." And so I'd go out there and replace it. And it was a pain to replace because you got to climb up really high. And, there's a potential for a little bit of danger there.
Sure.
And sure enough, it would, I wouldn't think they would drop an ammo can. I probably could have hidden an ammo can up there. It's so big.
Clang.
Maybe I will go back and hide one now.
Yeah, now you're thinking about it.
Think about it, I may go back and hide one there again.
Part of the problem, though, is if some jack wagon sees that, they're going to climb up there and grab it and take it, even though it's not theirs.
You probably couldn't see it from the ground, though.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty high up, and it's a big cross member. I bet I could actually hide it up there. I may go back down there.
Maybe an idea.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
You put a note in the chat room about trackables. What was your thought
so I think trackables is something we have to talk about, right? Because I love finding trackables.
Yeah.
So first of all, you can't do a trackable in a Nano. So they lose automatically, right?
Yep.
However, and this is for another show, so I'll, for another show.
Just right, for another show.
At least ammo cans are a decent place to put trackables. And I typically will put my trackable in an ammo can over most other things because I believe that people who put out ammo cans generally maintain their caches.
Yes.
Whereas I don't have much trust with, people that put out nanos because it could be anybody unless I know who they are. And you can fit them anyway, but I mean,
right.
Small.
And if it's chained, more than likely people aren't going to, I mean, if somebody really wants one, they can be a real jerk and do it. But for the most part, they're going to stay put.
And so for the trackables alone, I give an extra point to the ammo can.
Yeah.
Because I quite often will like to search for caches that have that say they have trackables in them.
Yep.
Okay, so I give that point to the ammo cans. However, I know it's for another show, but that is one of my pet peeves when there says, "Oh, 8 trackables in there," and none of them are in there.
There's none.
If you solve that problem, I'm going to find them $1 million because it makes me so frustrated. I really, and that's my little one. We used to go out and we would just go for the caches that said they had trackables in them. Yep. We would drive all around, and usually 1 out of like 7 would actually be accurate.
Oh,
and it's so frustrating. And I don't want to get into that. That's a different show, right? But but at least there's a chance with an ammo can.
Yes,
it's higher than likelihood that they may actually be there. So that's I absolutely give that point to ammo cans.
There's a chance. You're right.
Yeah,
it's rare. Gosh, I'm trying to think. When's the last time well, it seems like of late I get handed a trackable and said, "Here you go. Here's a trackable. Move it on." Okay, all right, I'll move it on for you.
At events and stuff,
yeah. that's another show where
Oh yeah, what? Yeah,
we get
I've had some interesting emails after shows like that. Yeah, we need to do a whole show about trackable etiquette and not just etiquette, but what'd you say, jackwagon? People acting like
jackwagon.
jackwagon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a commercial, but
That'll be a good show because that may be a debate thing too. Because you know my strong opinions on that.
yeah, especially at events. And I know that probably 14er. I mean, I'm sure y'all got stuck with the oversized trackable.
Every mega, there must be some like thief going around to every mega. The same guy that's stealing ammo cans,
right?
Shows up at megas and steals like 300 trackables every time.
Yep. There was an event. Somebody mentioned to me there was going to be an event up in Seattle where headquarters was going to attempt. I guess when people come to GCHQ, they don't take enough. They tend to drop trackables at HQ, and they don't tend to take trackables. So, yeah. See, you're guilty, and so apparently it's gotten to be where there's a lot of trackables at headquarters, and so
there's a rumor floating around that they recovered a huge box or boxes of trackables of somebody that was holding them, and they're handing them back out now too. I don't know if it's true, but it's been going around a lot lately.
Oh, okay, but yeah, so the ammo can really is your only hope for not your only hope. I shouldn't say that, because
outside of a trackable hotel, what else do you put trackables in? Ammo cans for me. That's about it.
Yeah, I actually found a coin of somebody, and it was a decent size. It's about the size of our black coin.
Yeah.
And I actually found one. I took it to Cincinnati because it was kind of cool, and I had a handful of trackables I needed to take that direction anyway, which I'm not really the best. I'm really kind of, I'm a neglectful trackable person, and I got one over here I need to get rid of, and that's a bad way to put it, I guess. But anyway, but I found the coin in almost as small of a container. I mean, inside this container, there was a coin in the logbook, and it was like, oh, wow, that coin fit. It was whoever put it there.
Container, right?
It was inside the container. Sure.
I told you one time I had a fool that had a trackable tag tied to a toy, and it was rubber banded on the outside of a pill bottle.
Right.
I'm like, come on, you couldn't have held that till you found a regular cache somewhere.
Nope, they couldn't.
In a parking lot, so there's a good chance it's going to get muggled. It's like, come on, man.
So of course you felt you were obligated at that point. You had to get it.
I absolutely took that and moved it on. There was no way I could leave that there and somebody steal that thing. Ugh.
You were the trackable savior there. So,
okay.
Yeah. All right.
So
moving on.
This next one's a little tricky though.
It is.
Which provides more adventure?
Oh gosh.
I don't know that we can answer that question, because really the adventure is based on where it is, right? And you can hide either one anywhere.
Yep.
And I've found both types in all environments, mountains, trees, everything else. So, I don't know. More romantic sounding or classical sounding to find an ammo can somewhere, like an old ammo can. But I mean, I think it's really more the cache hider where they put it.
Yeah. Well, here's an example for in the fact that you and I found that the one in the wagon, yes, it was cool. Yes, they did a really good job. But that was an adventure. We found it. We both went, wow, that's really cool. Look at the container. They did a great job.
Very cool container. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're like,
effort and favorite point on that one for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's a whole other show too. Do we give a favorite point? But adventure?
No.
The whole day was an adventure.
Yeah. So I don't think you can define adventure based on the container type. I think it's the hide location. Hopefully they've taken you somewhere neat, or other parts of it that can change, based on the.
Exactly.
Okay.
Harder to find.
You can't say an ammo can is hard to find.
No, you can't.
It's not hard to find, because if you can make it hard to find, you can make a Nano harder.
Right.
To me, that's just all there is to it. It can't be hard to find. Well,
the Nano wins.
It can be a hard location to get to.
Yes.
It's huge. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It can be a difficult container to access, but I A Nano is absolutely harder, you know.
Yep.
In any situation, it's just going to be harder.
And which has the best scenery?
Again, that's the hide location, right?
I agree. It really depends.
About where you put it, you can put, and I found, so like mountains here, if it's a really remote mountain, you can put an ammo can up there, and that's kind of neat. But if it's one of the ones that people hike frequently, it's really hard to put an ammo can up there. Like I have one ammo can that's in a mountain area that's Gray's and Torrey's Peaks. It's two of the 14ers out here.
Oh, wow.
Right? You have to hike 2 14ers, and then it takes you to the final ammo can. Right. It's a Where-I-Go cache. It's technically the highest Where-I-Go cache in the world, with one exception that has never been found, so I don't count that one yet. Right. Because we don't know if it's even there, right? However, I'm sure every day when I get a note on that cache that it's going to be like, oh, it's gone. Because there's so many people that hike there every day.
Right.
And I didn't help it by painting it gold, but still.
Right.
You know, the scenery, I think that really is dependent on where they hide it.
Sure.
Yeah, somebody said not many ammo cans on Pikes Peak. No, probably not. Because they
do you remember? Well, you do remember.
In a heartbeat.
All right. Do you remember? I know you remember this cache. Do you remember the bad man?
Oh yeah, Ed Watson was a bad man. 5.5 virtual in Florida.
Right. It's there, right there in the book. Do you remember what that kind of what the container was?
It was a virtual.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you're right. Yeah, because it's in the virtual part of the book.
Yeah, that's a virtual one.
Okay, so there's an adventure where you didn't even need a can. Didn't need a
it's totally different. So really, it's about what they're taking you to. So I'd have to call that one a tie to the scenery. It depends, right?
It does. Although you wouldn't want to get to the end of an ape cache, like the tunnel of light, and you wouldn't want to. Again, it kind of gets back to, I guess, expectations for me. It's like there better be an ammo can at the end of that thing. I mean, I don't want to get to the ape cache and go, yeehaw! It's a Nano.
You know, and I think when you're expecting a prize at the end instead of a search at the end, you're going to opt for an ammo can in a heartbeat, right? Sure. If you want a search at the end, that's more of a Nano. So, like at the ape cache, you don't want to walk away with a DNF on the ape cache, right?
Right.
Now, I'm hoping that's actually a bigger one than that. You know, I hope it's a.
It is.
Seattle is a huge one, yeah. So
it's that Gigantor ammo can. If anybody's ever seen
that's something totally different, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a 3 feet tall ammo can.
Yeah.
So
and that may really kind of sum up my opinion on the whole thing, right? Like if you're looking for adventure, if you're looking for scenery, that can be either one.
Right.
Location. But if you want to get to the end of your journey and search for something and do the geocache search thing, you know, where you're really trying to hunt for a container.
Right.
Nano is superior.
Yeah.
If you get to the end and like say it's a 10-mile hike and you don't want to search for one, you just want a reward for doing what you did.
Sure.
You have to lean towards ammo can.
Right. No, you're right. Well, I guess that's where you almost kind of gave a final thought, but I'm going to let you go with that thought a little further and give a final thought.
So it's hard to crown a winner on this one, right?
Right. I agree.
So the few things that I'll say that are definitive are location and scenery are not dependent upon the container.
Yep.
Just hiding an ammo can is not sufficient to make it special. You need to really do something with that ammo can. Just like you need to do with the Nano in a lot of situations too, right? It's small enough that the whole point of it is to hide it. But with both of those, you can really camouflage those up and make those special containers.
Yeah.
I think you have a bigger, better platform with the ammo can to make it something really special at the end. Paint it up. Somebody mentioned there, I didn't get to get into it, but they found one that was painted up like a TARDIS. Hands down winner.
Right.
Favorite point before I even find it, right? That's
right.
I'm also a Doctor Who fan, so that helps a little bit. But
that's true. Right.
That is awesome. You know, when you do something like that, you're taking it to a whole nother level because you can take somebody to that and they go, oh, this is really This is a cool game. You know, this is neat. You're not going to get that same thing unless it's the Santa Claus one that you mentioned with the little Nano. That's awesome, but you can do that. But you're not going to get the same specialness with that or whatever. But the other one definitive thing I would say is bagging on Nanos in the woods is just lacking creativity.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Yes, ammo cans in the wood are cool, but I want the challenge to continue as far as it can. So for me, I like them both.
Yeah, I was thinking of is another one that the one I've got in town here where the logbook are river rocks and you sign a rock. So there's another way to kind of trick up the ammo can by adding something unique. Like you said, you can give it a cool paint job, or you could do something cool with the logbook. And so in that case, I used river rocks where you sign a river rock and put it back in. That's the logbook is the river rock. So that's it's a different twist. It's a twist on making the ammo can a little bit more of an adventure or more of a special hide, I guess.
So in the chat room, Geo Jerry's Adventures, he said, I found an ammo can that had gravel glued over the entire thing. It was hid in an urban area to prove an ammo can could be hidden in town.
Oh, right. That's good.
That's really neat. Now that's taking it and doing something special with it. And I think that is pretty cool. I wish that was the standard. Yep. I wish people considered this a blank canvas.
I agree.
And that would make ammo cans way better because you're getting closer to really fancy caches, right?
Mm-hmm. Or as some people said, there's ways you could turn that blank canvas into a gadget cache.
Absolutely. You can do things with them.
Yeah. So now you're like taking that ammo can to a whole new level. So not only are all the things that are the pros that we've talked about with ammo cans, now you've like and if you put it in a cool spot, you've like tripled the whole thing. So,
absolutely. You can do it. I think people just have a tendency to not do it.
Right.
They just kind of rely on it, just like a lot of people do with Nanos, right? They cop out a lot of times and they'll stick one just up under a black metal railing. Yeah, it's hard to find, but is that really the most creative spot for that? Why don't you?
Right. Yeah, give it some thought.
People get lazy with both of them, but that's, again, I'm trying not to hold that against the container. That's the lazy hider. That's not the container.
Exactly. You're right. Absolutely. All right. What else?
Do we pick a winner or what? How do we do this? Do we pick a winner?
I think they went 15 rounds and they slugged it out. I think that it was a split decision.
I'd like to hear what the chat room and the audio listeners say. Where do they stack it up with all the points? And we may have to think through this and announce it later. Yeah. With all the points kind of that we brought up, and maybe they've got a few more, which one really comes out on top overall? So
it might be a draw. I think it's a draw because
geocachetalk@gmail.com. I think we're kind of a split decision right now, which I hate. Never let it go to the judges. Right. So we need the third person. So if you and I are tied, we need a third person, which will be the audience weighing in on
the audience. I agree. And we need people who are not
geocachetalk@gmail.com.
Exactly. And we don't want the blind, the ammo can's better. Well, why is the ammo can better? There better be a reason, because if you just go, ammo cans are better because that's geocaching and everything else isn't geocaching. Well, sorry. Welcome to the real world. There's
that's ways just like the other debate that we're not going to have on the show because it's been done too many times, and it's a dumb debate anyway. GPS versus phone.
Right.
Stop. We're not even having that debate. Yeah.
We don't get into ridiculous comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're riding horses, but we have cars now. So let's move on past that. And everybody has their own style of caching. That's great.
That's right. If you want to use a GPS, knock yourself out. We don't do one. We don't use them. We use technology. So no, I'm kidding. You can use either one. But yeah, we want to know a real, like, honest to good. And so for me,
those up and then mention it on the next show or Battle Royal show anyway.
Yep. And for me, if it's not necessarily a draw, then the Nano the Nano got in a lot of punches. I mean, it got a lot of haymakers, and the ammo can kind of slow and kind of wasn't able to keep up. The Nano is pretty quick. got in a lot of punches. So I think and packed a good punch at times. So
I don't think you can dismiss either one. I think we kind of came out fine on this one. So
yep. All right. Good discussion, good fun talk tonight. I think it was, I think it was a lot of fun, and we'll have to do these again, I think, at some point. All right. So coming up on the show next week, we are going to talk about, I think it's now the oldest mega. I'm pretty sure it's the oldest mega.
is it?
I think it's a little bit old. I think it's slightly older than Geo Woodstock, because we'll find out next week. But we're going to talk about the 17th annual. It's the same year as Geo Woodstock, so I'm not quite sure. We'll have to find out. If it's not the oldest, it's one of the oldest megas in the world, and that is the Texas Challenge. So the 17th annual Texas Challenge. We're going to talk about that next week. We're going to have on D of Team D&D. We're going to have on Tom Brotherman, Electric Water Boy, and we're also going to have on Pathfinder 33. Charles Watkins is going to join us, and we're going to talk some of the time about the county challenge. And I think it's fascinating to talk a little bit, because this is there's an event that occurs in conjunction with the mega event, and that is the finisher. And this has been several years now, and they're going to crown some more folks, as we talked about before. Carrot Killer and Lady Black Cat finished, and so they've got their number. And the finders in the, and they don't like Lady Black Cat and Carrot Killer. They are not from Texas, but they really embraced this whole idea of getting 254 counties, and so they did it. We're going to talk about the experience. How can you do it? How long would it take? I think 200 and something days is still the record. I know Jesse's kept going, ooh, how many days would it take me to do 254 counties?
I know. I've looked at it. I got my numbers guy crunching it, and we hadn't figured it out yet. So
yeah, I've been using Cache Tour, and Susan and I have started to work out some of the details on doing more counties, and we're just going to sort of work our way through it. But anyway, we're going to talk about that mega, and maybe get some ideas for people to do their own, not necessarily mega, but own ideas for events, because we're always encouraging more and more people to do an event. And so you might get some cool ideas from things that they're doing. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to do something sort of unique. We're going to have on Marcellus Cad, and we're going to do a show called Geocaching While Black. This is from Marcellus's blog with a B. And Marcellus and I met this week and had a great talk. And this is something, Jesse, that's different for us. We really don't get into.
Wait, what do you mean?
Right. No, this is, well, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to lean on his experience for this one. You're right.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah. This is like, it's the joke I'm sure we'll tell that night, which is, how long have you been a black geocacher? It's like, all my life, or ever since I started. Right. That's the old joke with Doug Williams, the Washington Redskins quarterback. It's like, how long? Really, somebody asked him in an interview, how long have you been a black quarterback? And he's like, ever since I picked up a football. So, but what I meant by that was that you and I, we deliberately do not talk about politics, religion, so forth and so on. We don't want to get into these discussions on our show, because we're focused on geocaching. But this is an issue that I think is worth taking a show on. And Marcellus has some really interesting experiences, and I think that it's time we do a show about this. We'll talk about his experiences with geocachers, his experience with non-geocachers,
Yeah.
his experience just he's got a streak going and as a newbie. He's fairly new to the sport. We'll call him a newbie. It's kind of interesting to hear his take on, and he'll tell some stories. And
it'll be a different perspective, so that's always good.
Yeah, and you being former law enforcement, I think it'll be interesting to get your take on your experiences just in the real world. And so Marcellus will be on in 2 weeks. It'll be I think it's gonna be a good show, be a fun show. He's a great man. It'll be interesting to talk about things.
Oh, absolutely.
So. All right, and then 3 weeks, another cool show. We're bringing you guys I think a lot of cool shows. Brad and Janet, and that's the name of their caching name. It's actually Bill. He goes by his real name is Bill. He goes by his geocaching name is Brad and Janet, and they've thought about changing it, but I was like, no, don't change it. It's Rocky Horror, Brad and Janet. And you contacted them, and we finally have worked out the details of having them on the show. But they have found, and this is something I forgot about, Jesse, and that is they found 2 in Antarctica that were never found before.
I know, including the webcam.
Yes, the webcam, that first to find on a webcam and a first to find on a virtual that had never been found before.
Who gets a first? When's the last time somebody got a first to find on a webcam?
Never.
I mean, 10 years ago?
Oh, at least 10 years, probably.
And it's in Antarctica, so awesome.
Oh yeah. And they've got stories about going down and it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be great. He lives in Australia, so we did clear the whole thing with him. So it's kind of like when we have. It's kind of like we have See My Shell on the show.
Mm-hmm.
It is Monday afternoon. Well, early afternoon Monday in Australia for them. For our So we're going to have the show at the normal time, 8 p.m. Central Time. But for him, I know, which works out great because for him, it's okay. It works out. It's going to be Monday early afternoon for him, and it works out perfect for us and for our live show. But yeah, Brad and Janet go to Antarctica in 3 weeks. So looking forward to that. So
I am very, very excited about that one.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
To hear the stories. Such great, interest, So, all right. Well, we hope you enjoy the show tonight. Email us your comments, pick a winner, go off of what we talked about tonight, hopefully, and tell us who slugged it out better and who maybe knocked the other one down long enough to get a win. And email us those comments to geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, a lot of Instagram. Definitely follow us on Instagram. We got a lot going on there. Jesse puts a lot of cool stuff on there. I try to contribute every now and then. But we put a lot of effort into Instagram. I kind of keep stuff going on Twitter a little bit and Facebook. I try to post stuff periodically, facebook.com/geocache talk. Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, the Geocache Talk website, geocachetalk.com. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button below, ring the bell so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. Tell your friends about the show. Get them involved in the chat room because we always have great chat room. Couple of quick things we didn't mention at the beginning of the show. I want to mention now because I forgot about them. One is that we got an announcement next week. We're really looking forward to this announcement. Yeah, it's going to be busy next week, but we have a cool announcement going on. And also we're going to talk more because we'll have Tom on next week. There's a Geo Woodstock activity cache challenge that they are working on. They want people to sign up. It's a team challenge. Jesse and I are involved. Some other people.
You know what the magic word is?
It's a competition. It is. And so we'll mention that. We'll give you more details next week when Tom is on. He's going to put his pitch out because he really wants to try to get enough teams because I think you have to have 5 members to do the challenge correctly. So we're on board. We'll do what we can to help out, but we'll talk about it more next week. So,
oh yeah,
and so looking forward to all that. So, and until next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Go get you a Nano and go find you an ammo can if you can find one, and go geocaching. Good night, everybody.
good night.